We know the story. You went out and did a feature piece. It would have been, well, great fun to put this together, but also would have brought back some wonderful memories, not just for us as punters, but for the family as well in Chrystal, Scarlett and Jet. Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, I went out there with Kat, and Kat did the story with Chrystal. I sort of just mucked around with Jet, and we'll get to that at some stage. But it was really good to go out and catch up with them and have a look at their property, and this is the piece we put together.
I want you to take us back. How did your involvement in greyhound racing start?
Well, it started back probably when I met Troy. He decided to get a couple of dogs, and he had them with a trainer called Shane Wheeler. They were good friends over the years, and it started off, they had Charlie Cheetah, Glitzy Rascal and Snow Bunny. They end up being pretty handy kind of dogs, and then when Troy had his car accident, yeah, we kind of ended up with the dogs after dealing with his car accident. Not too many people knew about that, but yeah, he had a pretty bad car accident about 6 weeks before Jet was born. So he had a head-on up near Freeman's Drive there. Just he was trialling with Shane and actually had the dogs on board as well, but they all survived. And yeah, so ever since then we've had the dogs and started doing it on our own.
It would have been a great outlet for him back then during his recuperation to have the dogs?
Yeah. So back then he was in the Navy, and then once he had his car accident, well, he couldn't go back to work. He actually had like 2 knee operations and slip discs in his back, so I just had Jet. So I had a 5-week-old baby. I was looking after Troy, looking after Jet, and I was doing the dogs. So it was a bit of a stressful time. Yeah, he's put me through a lot of stress over the years. Hasn't been easy.
But since then, you guys always seem to have a handy dog in the kennel, didn't you?
Yeah. It's always managed to have something that's always had a bit of ability, and yeah, we just started breeding a few litters and started getting a few lines going along, and they've all sort of turned out not too bad. From that, we produced Owner Champion. So she was quite a handy dog for us. We sold her to Clint Kratzman. He had her for a bit and then retired her, and then we got her back on a breeding deal, and we've bred 4 or 5 litters since then and had quite handy dogs, which she's produced Mickey, and who won the Derby last year.
But home goes Owner Champion, too good.
You went through a period a few years back where you had a lot of good dogs. You had Jet Jackson, you had My Mate Clary. How did the association with those dogs and their owners start?
So we bought a few pups. Jet Jackson, he was owned by the Lazy Boy Syndicate. We've had dealings with them over the past 10 years, so we've had quite a few dogs with them. They've also had a dog called Rip Masters. He was a very handy, we went a lot of races with him, more over the 400 metres, but he was quite handy. My Mate Clary, John Clout, he owns My Mate Clary, and he's got quite a few dogs with me now. I've got a lot of young dogs.
So going back to that period, it probably was, I guess, the highlight of Troy's training career when he had My Mate Clary in the National Derby along with Jet Jackson, along with Mickey.
Yep.
And he also had Jet Jackson. He won the Young Star Classic on $1 Million Chase Night.
Yep.
Looking back to $1 Million Chase Night in particular, what were some of your memories from that night?
I think he was over the moon. He wasn't the type that would, he didn't like doing interviews or talking. I think I remember you tried to do an interview with him, I think that night, and he was trying to hide from you most of the night. He's like, oh, she's coming. But no, I mean, he was stoked. I mean, everything sort of went to plan and it just worked out. But yeah, no, he had a good night.
And from there, the success just kept coming. We spoke about the National Derby last year.
Clint sent Mickey down a few months down before, and we prepped him and got him ready, and yeah, he just ended up getting a run out of the reserve and ended up pulling it off on the night. So
swinging, Mickey's still the leader. Mickey going great guns. Mickey won the Derby.
Looking back, everyone sort of thought the sky's the limit for you guys now as young trainers. How were you thinking? We're getting these big races behind us now. We're going to be getting plenty of good dogs. It must have been a really exciting time for you guys.
Yeah, for sure. Things were, we had a lot of young dogs and, young stock coming up. Like, I've got heaps of, 13, 14-month-old pups now, and, Troy was really, sort of talking about these dogs that are up and coming. So it was going to be, you know, the ongoing thing for us.
So had big plans, but as we know, things changed pretty suddenly last August.
So last August, Troy tragically passed away. He actually went to the races on the Saturday night. We had 3 in, I think, and I think we got a winner and a couple of placings. And the next morning, he was going to set a couple of dogs up for Tari. There's some races coming up there. He's like going to go trial. And he simply just didn't wake up. He wasn't the type of person to sleep in, but yeah, just total can change your whole life.
It's hard to put into words how shattering that must have been as a family, but you guys decided to push on and keep going with the greyhounds. Why was that?
Yeah, I think it's because it's what we've done and known for quite some time now, especially Jet. He's, you know, he just lives and breathes dogs. Like every time Troy would go to the races or trial, like Jet's there.
Everyone around Newcastle sort of knows you. They've got to see your face over the last few years out at the track, and everyone knows you've got a good idea about the dogs as well. So tell us about how you got involved.
My mum and dad got dogs at the start.
Yep.
Yeah.
And your dad is Troy Donaldson.
Yeah.
And he had a bit of luck, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yep.
Won a few races.
Yep. Tell us about some of the more memorable wins that you remember.
National Derby night.
Yeah. Oh, Mickey.
Yeah.
Now, you yourself, you want to be a dog trainer, don't you?
Yep.
Yep. So how old are you at the moment?
11.
All right. So you got, what, 3, 4, 5 years? When can you get your licence?
Trainer's licence.
Yeah.
18.
So 18, but you can get your handler's licence when?
14, I think.
14. But as it is at the moment, you're here with your mum and you help her out here every day, don't you?
Yeah.
So tell us about what you do, like what your jobs are before and after school.
Put the top dogs out around 4 o'clock, then about 7:30, and then I have to mow around here.
Yeah, and keep it all looking good.
Yeah.
What is it that you like about the dogs? Like, why do you enjoy working with them?
Because it's fun and you get to get away from the house.
Yeah. And do you like the relationships that you get to build with the dogs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the night at Gosford after your dad had died and you took the dog out, and that experience and the win on that occasion. Pretty emotional for you, yeah? Yeah. Did you find that you know, being around other people, around other dog people, that sort of helped you at the time? Yeah. And looking back on that time now, like, what are the things that, you know, your dad taught you that you think once I become a greyhound trainer, they're the things I'm going to do?
Don't get gobby.
Don't get gobby.
Yeah.
So just know your place.
Yeah.
Always be humble.
Yep.
Well, they're pretty good traits, mate. So I think if you stick to those, you'll be all right.
I think a lot of people was just expecting me just to give up and walk away and just too hard basket, but I'm quite determined to give it a good crack, see how we go, and I can only do my best.
Tell us about the kids. How old are they now, and how have they sort of handled the last few months?
Yeah, so Scarlett's 7 and Jet's 11. It's been a roller coaster. Like, some days they're all right and other days they're just, it's a nightmare. It's kind of like, it's just, yeah, I'd just say it's a roller coaster at the moment, really. It's just mixed emotions. I mean, they have been pretty good considering, like, they're pretty strong kids.
You can't prepare them for something like that.
Something like that, you just can't prepare them. You've just got to do what you can and just get through. And I think keeping busy too keeps their heads occupied. If we did just live in a normal house, just on, you know, a normal small backyard, I think it would be a lot harder. But because there's always so much going on and so much to do, it just kind of helps you just keep going forward.
And the industry really rallied behind you guys after Troy's passing. How would you describe the impact the industry had on you during that time?
You know, the industry was great. Like, it's times like these that you realise that it is, even though it's a big industry, but it's such a small industry as well. So, you know, the industry's seen more like family than some of your actual family. So, no, they've just been really nice.
if you could look ahead, where would you like to see yourselves in a few years?
It's hard to say. I'm kind of like, just, you know, we do have plans, but I kind of just like live each day as it comes and just try to do your best. I mean, obviously we'll still be in dogs, giving it our best shot. Hopefully, you know, can win a couple of group races. That'd be, you know, I'd love to do that for Jet.
And if you could sum up what the dogs mean to you guys, how they've helped you through this, what would you say?
I mean, the dogs, they're like family, you know what I mean? Like the dogs are like, they're like my kids. So, no, they've been great. I don't think I could probably, you know, as frustrating and as hard as it gets sometimes, and I just get up some days and I'm just like, oh, this is just all too hard. I think they've actually just, yeah, they've sort of saved me really.
That night at Gosford back in